It's 8 minutes after 5 o'clock. All right, flashlight, check. Water bottle, check. And smartphone? Now, that last item might seem like a no-brainer on any excursion, but Halifax Search and Rescue says some people are putting too much faith in their digital devices, and that's leading to more calls for remote rescues. Paul Service is a spokesperson with Halifax Search and Rescue, and he's on the line right now. Hi, Paul.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So what kinds of places are people heading with their smartphones in hand?
Well, what we're finding is there's more trails that are opening up that people can find and easily see on your smartphone, which is encouraging people out in the wilderness, which is great. We kind of love that aspect. That's why we all join Search and Rescue, is to get out and get active. But sometimes they're relying a little bit too much on cell phones for guiding themselves around those areas, and they're finding that some of their batteries are starting to go dead towards the end of the trip. So it's an evolution for us to go and help them.
And so when you say relying too much, you mean their main guide is the phone? They don't have a compass with them, for example?
They're using the phone. They're not printing off a paper map. And actually, I was just looking at one trail that we like, the Bluff Trail. I mean, they have a paper map that you can go to their website fairly easily and print their map and take it with you, as opposed to solely relying on your cell phone when you go out there.
Are there hot spots in the province or in the HRM area where this seems to be happening?
We've found that we've been visiting the Crowbar Trail a little bit more than usual over the last couple of years. Not entirely always for cell phone. It might be a end of day. With the winter here, we've got shorter days. People may not be prepared with a flashlight, as you referenced earlier, or the batteries may be going dead on that. We're just kind of encouraging you, if you're going to go out to those trails, they're great trails, but make sure you're taking the essentials with you when you go into the woods.
So have you also come across cases where people call you because they've been injured, and thank heavens they did have something like a phone to call you, because otherwise they might be there for quite a while?
Yep, and that's one of the benefits that's one of the evolutions with Search and Rescue in Halifax, or in the province, is going the remote rescue. So we're getting the calls because there's an injury there. They need assistance more than normal. Definitely we're responding faster as a team to those calls, and better equipped for those types of calls.
And you lose everything if your phone goes dead, let's say. Like nobody can find your iPhone or anything like that, if that is the case?
Absolutely. If you're we'll get a ping as to where you last were.
Yeah.
But as a person in the woods, if your phone goes dead and you don't have a backup of paper, then yes, obviously you've lost everything. So it's good to have that paper backup and as part of your planning process. And
so, of the cases you've come across, have some been quite serious?
Luckily not. We've been good on that front. Twisted ankles or that type of thing is where we've been heading into. So that's, I guess, the positive here.
All right. So, as you say, we all like to be outdoors, or many of us do, and including the search and rescue folks. That's why they got involved in this kind of work, partly. What tips do you have for people who want to explore the wilderness, but in a truly safe way?
The best tip that we have is to visit adventuresmart.ca. It's a website. It's a national website. It's going to break down all of the tips that we have for you for taking the essentials, for taking your flashlights, your food sources. But also, as equally important, there's a trip plan that's part of that, so that you can leave a message behind when you venture into the woods. You can leave a note behind with somebody that if you don't come back by your anticipated time, that they know to start looking for you or start asking questions as to where you may be.
What do search and rescue teams themselves use to navigate when they're out there looking for these people who either are lost or are injured?
Well, we have a definite combination. We have the ability on a remote rescue to print maps roadside that when we're tasking teams in. But we're also absolutely relying on technology. Our members are aware of the risk, so a lot of them are packing a second battery or have the ability to have a second charging source for their cell phones. But I think they're quite cell phone savvy right now, or battery savvy, so they're making sure their phones are charged before they go in the woods.
All right. All good reminders. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Perfect. Thanks so much for your time.
That's Paul Service. He is a spokesperson with Halifax Search and Rescue. Right now, it is 13 minutes after 5 o'clock.